Hi, how you going? Lords of the Fallen is getting update after update, and at first it made me happy. You know, the game you really like that has a fair share of issues is getting the love it deserves. But not every update made the game better. There was one, for example, that rolled the levels of my character back and made me pretty much start all over again. In this quick video I want to talk about what the future holds for Lords of the Fallen. First of all, there was a Q&A stream hosted by CI Games where Sol Gascon, the head of Hexworks, together with Fightin' Cowboy, talked about the future of the game, and Sol answered some questions from the chat. And secondly, we have a regular update posted on the 23rd of October that gives out some good ideas of what to expect from the game in the future. Vestiges in New Game Plus, challenge modes, enemy and item randomizers, decreased enemy density, progression loss fixes, crossplay, and many more. And yeah, about the thumbnail, I wasn't really there, just thought it would be funny. Make sure to check out my full Lords of the Fallen review. The link will be in the description, as well as the link to the Q&A video. Check them out. Thank you very much. And before we start, here's a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Boosteroid. Boosteroid is a global cloud gaming provider that gives you remote cloud-based access to PC video games across devices and platforms. I tried running Lords of the Fallen on my beat-up laptop with a GTX 1650 and 8 gigs of RAM, and it works surprisingly well. You can see the footage on the screen right now. I mean, I'll be honest, there was a slight delay and pairing was harder than usual, but it's still a great option, especially for those who are constantly on the go and do not own a Steam Deck or something. Boosteroid does not provide free access to licensed games, that's why games listed as payment required need to be purchased in the official digital distribution store. But if you own the game, you can log into your Steam or Epic account on the Boosteroid virtual machine. And don't worry, it's safe. All the data stored is hashed, and after the session is over it's being cleared from the virtual machine so no one can get access to it. Please note though that the experience with any cloud gaming service, including Boosteroid, is highly dependent on the connection and device, and may vary between different people. That's why before purchasing a subscription, I strongly recommend running a built-in speed test on Boosteroid website. If you're interested, my link can be found in the pinned comment and the description of the video. Every registration supports me directly. Thank you very much, and let's get back to the video. Everyone likes a good New Game Plus. This is where you tie up all loose ends, check out different endings, try different quest lines, and finish up your achievements. In Lords of the Fallen, New Game Plus is weird, man. Specifically because the devs decided that removing all the vestiges from the game but one was a good idea. I guess the original vision was to make the game more challenging and less forgiving, where you have to know the map layout and enemy positioning very well. In reality, it just turned the game into a tedious running simulator where you take severe beating every now and again despite knowing the map very well. During the Q&A, Sol confidently said that they're happy where they are, and they're not planning to make changes anytime soon. Thankfully, some sense was talked into them, because from the last patch and onward, when you complete the game, you'll be presented with a new option before embarking on your next playthrough. You can either progress directly to New Game Plus, or you can replay the current new game at the same difficulty, retaining your character, items, and progression, but resetting the entire world, including NPCs and their quest lines. It's a good option for completionists who don't want to contend with increased difficulty to tie up all loose ends. A further patch that is coming on the 26th of October will see further updates made to the New Game Plus mode. So now, instead of removing all the vestiges, only a few will disappear in the New Game Plus, while the key locations will remain intact. In New Game Plus 2 though, a few more vestiges will be removed, and in New Game Plus 3 there will be 2 vestiges kept in the game, the one in Skyres Bridge and the one over at Adir's Shrine. I think it's a great decision. Devs somehow keep their initial vision intact and players have a choice. Another awesome thing to be implemented sometime down the road is custom New Game Plus, like a modifier system where players could fully customize their New Game Plus experience. The amount of vestiges, item randomizers, enemy randomizers, the fucking perma-death. According to the patch notes, this feature is yet to be fully defined, but the devs' current intention is to release the modifier system before the end of the year, which is soon. Enemy density is my biggest gripe with Lords of the Fallen. Sol again confidently said that the amount of enemies is their vision and they're happy where they are with it. He basically said, the game isn't the problem, you just need to be more careful and shouldn't rush in guns blazing. And that could have been a solid advice for some other games, probably any other Soulsborne type game, except for Dark Souls 2 of course, fuck you Iron Keep. But here, it's not.
That if you just run through the level, you better know what you're doing because you're gonna get at some point crowded.
And of course, maybe it's just me not being good enough, but in Lords of the Fallen, I'm getting crowded even when I know what I'm doing. And I respect the vision and all, of course, but in my opinion, when you are constantly getting swarmed, it makes the game difficult, sure, but it's difficult for the wrong reasons. You need to know what you're doing. Almost sounds like, why are you homeless? Stop being homeless. Just go buy yourself a house. For example, Guardian Follard is a perfect example of what is wrong with enemy density in the game, on top of this boss just being bad and annoying. It's basically if Beta Chaos and Capra Demon had a baby. You have one boss with predictable and easily readable attack patterns and a few dogs to worry about, but on top of that, 70% of the boss arena is water that hinders your movement. There's a parasite you need to remove first because otherwise you won't deal any damage to the boss and the ads. Boss's attacks obscure your vision, and if you die and move to Umbral, there's this big walking head guy that does dash and area of effect attacks. Thankfully, you can pull a Beta Chaos trick by removing the parasite and out-of-4ing out of the game, then logging back in. You'll be spawned outside the arena with the parasite already dealt with. Bottom line is, the boss is not fun to fight because of the amount of enemies you have to control at all times. It's just BS, and whoever thinks it's not, whoever thinks it's a skill issue, probably is a psychopath, and also is now dead to me. Though we can already see in the patch notes that the leashing system is being improved, limiting how far enemies can pursue players to avoid swarming and ganking. It also says that the devs are aiming to further refine the experience by reducing the number of enemies in some areas where players struggle the most. What's interesting, removed enemies will remain in New Game Plus. Again, good, devs are happy, players are happy too. Additionally, some crowd behaviors will be tweaked, so enemies will not swarm players as often. Multiple enemies will no longer land hits at the same time and will also be a little less aggressive when swarming the player in greater numbers. These changes will roll out on the 26th of October though, and of course it needs to be further tested. Multiplayer is the game's weakest part in my opinion, and I'm not even talking about seamless co-op being not that seamless. It just runs like doo-doo, even after all the patches. Now I know that the devs are focusing on fixing the performance before addressing issues with multiplayer, which is fair. Here's just a few words about my experience in co-op. Accompanying is somehow serviceable, but the guest is always at a disadvantage network-wise. Every time I join somebody's game, there seems to be a delay which makes, for example, dodging a gamble. I'm not even talking about parrying. PvP barely works at this point. I got invaded once throughout my now 55 hours playtime, and I managed to invade like 4 people. Most of the time I'm just getting disconnected before actually invading other players' worlds. Now I don't know if the multiplayer aspect of the game is just bad in the game's current state, or I'm unlucky or something. How's it for you? During the Q&A, Soul said that before fixing multiplayer, they will be focusing on fixing the performance, and in my opinion, it's more important, especially knowing that some players can't even get past character creation, which with all honesty is absolutely fucking wild. Nonetheless, in the patch notes, it says that crossplay on consoles is being activated. Now, I'm not sure what that means, probably that console players will be able to play with PC players, but after that it also says that they're planning to activate it on all platforms this coming Thursday. Now this sounds a bit confusing to me. What's the difference between crossplay is activated on consoles and crossplay is available on all platforms, knowing that Xbox and PS people can't play together? I don't know. And a bit about performance. I was on the lucky side, the game runs very smoothly on my PC, with extra rare stuttering in heavier areas, and it becomes better and better with every patch. It says in the patch notes that Hexworks are actively collaborating with Nvidia, AMD and Epic to resolve any outstanding issues reported by players. By the way, don't hesitate to share your experience with Lords of the Fallen performance-wise in the comments. Maybe the issues you are having are easily fixed by simply tweaking the settings a bit. For example, setting reflections and global illumination to medium disables ray tracing. That, for example, was the root of the problem for me. Another thing I want to talk about is progression loss. Some players, myself included, have lost level progression, as in their characters' levels rolled back to default. Some players' save files got corrupted too. To address this issue, Hexworks have set a team you can send your corrupted saves and downgraded characters to, and they in return will respond by providing you saves with the required XP to restore characters up to the level they were before the glitch. Those affected by corrupted save files need to create a new character and send new character save together with the name of that character and the level you need restored over to support@cigames.com. And those affected by level downgrade will get reimbursed with XP items, aka vigor skulls. For that, you also need to send your affected character save, the name of that character and the level you need restored to the same email. Check the description of the video to see where you can get your save file from if you're interested. And again, if you want to check out the full Q&A video with Sol Gascon and Fighting Cowboy, you can find the link in the description as well. And that's it for today. Subscribe to the channel and thanks for watching. See ya!